Do not worry, Chris Stuckman, for I will save film criticism with a review of Children of the Corn. Which one? I probably shouldn't even tell you. I should just let you, figure it out for yourself. Go and Google Children of the Corn and just be like, what? They made this many? I didn't even know they made that many. But they remade this it came out this year. Shudder put it out, released it theatrically back in March, and now it's available on AMC Plus. And of course, thanks to AMC Plus giving me a free subscription for a year to check out all of their amazing accessibility options. An audio description that they swore was coming. I've decided to check it out. It's their hot new title. Even the website that I use to remind me when things drop, TV Line, reminded me that Children of the Corn dropped on Friday. And that was a big deal for them. That was like, yes, here's a heads up, guys. Let's drop everything. Children of the Corn is on AMC Plus. Anyway, plus I did actually just cite this movie yesterday, so it made it even more fun for me because I actually talked about how the girl in Run Rabbit Run, it was acted like a Children of the Corn character. Anyway, this is complete bullshit. It has no audio description, so technically I should say, before I get into the film itself, yeah, it's unwatchable that way. I mean, you don't get any of the violence or the gore. You know what I'm saying? Like, the whole reason you would show up to a film like this is gone, unless you don't want that and you just want to laugh at just an incredibly bad plot and dialogue. In which case, welcome, welcome. You found it. The reviews on this are not kind. It has like a 22 on Metacritic and a 3.6 on IMDb. Woo! I throw that away. I throw that away because it's a Children of the Corn movie. Nobody was going to be kind to this anyway. Honestly, I would have taken this film if it was good, and I would put this on a pedestal and tell everybody that they're wrong and argue its merits. It has no merits. This film is so ridiculously terrible in so many obvious ways. I will give it props though, because it does not it doesn't hold back on the promise of death right away. I mean, this film has people dying, I think, within the first 60 seconds. I mean, I think there's this little conversation between this girl and somebody about who does that, remember, things never really die in the corn. And then immediately after that, there's a death sequence, where somebody just goes around killing people. So, you can just hear people going, you just hear people die. I didn't even need to see that I don't know how they died, but I could hear people being murdered. And then later on, there's some conversation between this girl and the adults, and they're because I guess she's the lone survivor, and they're like, did he say anything to you? Did he? How did this happen? And she's like, yes. He said something to me. He said he was sorry. He said he was sorry he didn't kill all of you. And I'm like, oh my God, we're in this movie now. We are getting in this movie. This is all in the first 5 minutes, so it's not really a spoiler. And as you figure out the film, the actual plot of the film, once you get past the opening kill sequence, which is, I don't know, ridiculous. But we find out that it seems like our two leads are going to be these teenagers, so that they're not quite children and they're not quite adults. So it puts them in this nice awkward position. And she's the girl in this duo is talking about going away to college, And the guy's like, "You're gonna go away and you're never gonna come back because this town sucks." And she's like, "No, I'm gonna come back. I want to come back and like restore the town." And everybody's talking about like, they're debating about, I don't even know where this town is or how small or big it is, or I'm assuming it's in the middle of nowhere. I mean, any town that has this much cornfields in it is not likely to be a major city. So, but they are talking about like the future of their town and how the adults have done everything to destroy it. There's a lot of talk about that. It kind of feels like a film version of Kid Nation, where we're like, that's a deep cut, by the way. If you're not subscribing to me and you just heard me bring up Kid Nation, that's worth that's a subscribe right there. I'm just gonna tell you. It kind of feels a little bit like Kid Nation in that for some reason the kids have been left to I don't know, restore society while the adults are off. Just being like hilariously poorly written horror movie characters. I don't know that there's a single adult character in this movie that you would root for, that you're gonna be like, yeah, this guy's awesome. He's gonna make it to the end. It's kind of like in Texas Chainsaw, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Netflix one, when we're like, okay, so who are we rooting for here? I don't know. They're all kind of terrible. Maybe the racist old guy? I mean, he seems to kind of know what's going on, and he's prepared to be in a horror movie. And you're like, but is this a character I root for? It's kind of a little bit like that, where you're just like, I don't know if any of these people are worth rooting for. And when you start hearing what the adults are talking about, it's kind of like, I don't know. Maybe the kids have a point. And I don't think that's what it's supposed to be. I think we're supposed to be horrified that the Children of the Corn come out, at least from what I remember of previous Children of the Corn movies. The Children of the Corn is supposed to be creepy, and it's supposed to be like, like kind of out of nowhere. Like, what's going on with the children? I don't know. It's very weird. But here it's like, it's pretty obvious. These guys have like a very like positive, the children in this movie have this very positive idea about trying to save the town and protect the corn. And the adults are just, they want to build timeshares or something. It's something really stupid. And they want to build timeshares in this town that no one's ever heard of. I'm like, who the fuck is going to get a timeshare? Like, what are they in, like, Nebraska, Kansas? It's like, who's going to go out to this town and buy a timeshare? It's like, I want to like this movie, but, and I think about movies like this, and then I think this writer is currently on strike. This writer of this film, I guarantee, was a member of the Writers Guild of America, and he's on strike because he's worried that his work is not valued enough. Seriously. Like, this is not... If I was out there in the crowds, I'd be like, one of these things is not like the other. You're looking at some people and you're like, oh yeah, I know him. He writes for that show, and he wrote that movie, and he's really good, and he wrote that movie, and then, oh my god, that's the guy that wrote the fucking Children of the Corn movie for Shudder. God damn it. Why is he on the picket line with me? It's like, when your building shut down, like if you went somewhere to work for COVID and there's that one person who you like secretly hope didn't come back. Not necessarily because they're dead, just because maybe they moved or something, and because they kind of sucked at their job, and they were kind of bringing everybody down. There's that camaraderie among everybody, but there's always those few people where you're like, please don't come back. Please don't come back. Yeah, the bathrooms were never clean, or I don't know, whatever it is, or you were, the quality check was never happening. You were the slowest register operator, or slowest bagger. I don't know, whatever the job was. There's always that person. I've worked those jobs. I've walked around with the person who seemingly cannot be fired. They perform just well enough to not be fired, but also perform so poorly that it's it's like this. It's Children of the Corn. It's for so yeah. He wrote a script. He did what he was supposed to do, so he got work. Um, but I would not ask him to write more movies. So, or her, or him, or her, or them, or anyone involved with this film. It's got a cast of people I've never heard of, and I don't think I ever will hear from any of them ever again. Um, I don't know that that's entirely fair because I think, in a weird way, I would say the lead older girl is not bad. She's not terrible. She's been given this role of like social crusader, and it's not terrible. However, the main bad girl uh, is normally when I watch a Children of the Corn movie, there's like a certain personality that those children have. This girl has like Megan. She's like Megan. She's like upbeat. She's this like really sort of perky. It's very odd that she's the leader, or the central focus, I should say, of the group. I guess truly the leader is the it that lives in the corn, or it that shits in the corn. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck. But there's always some sort of monster in a Children of the Corn movie that you don't ever get to see until the end. This movie would have been much better if it just never had it. It doesn't really do anything with it. It just kind of like, oh, there's a monster now. We've summoned it. It's here. Get ready for those jump scares. They're coming. Okay. It's just all of a sudden there's a monster. Which kind of makes not having audio description even worse, because you're like, I want to know what this monster looks like. There's no way this monster had the budget to look good. And yeah, the film kind of just devolves. There's a scene where the adults are all laughing about they vote as a town. It's one of those towns. This is how small the town is that they all can gather in a room and they can vote, but yet they think timeshares is a thing that might happen in their town. So they're voting on getting rid of the corn, so they can build timeshares. And they're voting on this. These are adults. These are grown-ass people who are making these kind of decisions. And what's funny is they go like, well, that's everybody. Everybody voted. And in strolls in the kids, and they're like, that's not everybody. Everybody hasn't voted. And then they're like, the kids want to vote? And then they just laugh. But they laugh in this like ridiculously, like over the top, maniacal, just like, it goes on for like 5 minutes. And I'm just like, what is this movie's part? What is going on in this film? Like, what is this film? Just really over the top and clearly like all evil. It's like when you realize like all of the adults have been possessed by demons and they're all like, we've got you. You've been trapped. And I'm like, who are the bad people in this film? I'm not supposed to root for the Children of the Corn. That is not what I'm supposed to be doing, is to vote for the little kids. They're supposed to be the bad guys here. But unfortunately, there wasn't really a single character. There's just like, the only thing that exists are the teenagers. He's like in between because they share sort of the same thoughts as the kids, right? As the younger ones. They realize their town sucks and they want to fix it. And they don't want to get rid of the corn and build fucking timeshares. But at the same time, they're I don't know, they're not little kids. So I guess they're seen as, you've lived too long, so you can't be part of our Children of the Corn cult problem here. Anyway, this film is hot garbage. I've heard people talk about, they're like, oh, the acting wasn't bad. I was like, yeah, it kind of was. I mean, actually, to be totally honest, I thought overall the children were better than the adults, which is shocking. It's It's absolutely shocking. But if this was like a keep or cut situation, and they're like, you can pick one to keep, I would give the kids careers, and I would set all the adults free. Um, there wasn't a single adult who spoke throughout the entire film that I thought had a future in acting. Uh, I, you know, I have a lot of friends who do little shitty bit roles, and if they were in this, I'd be like, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm not changing my statement. I'm just, if you've accidentally fell into this film, read better scripts. I don't know what to tell you, but somebody, this should have been a red flag for a lot of people's careers. This is like, do this out of desperation. But no, it's not good. Somebody was like, "Oh, the score is good," and I was like, "Compared to what? Like, compared to like completely wrong music being played in the background, like compared to like the music of the Teletubbies, like underscoring the film. I don't know. Like, there's just, I mean, there is music in this. I don't know that it's profound enough for me to discuss it. It's just there's no real score." It kind of feels like it's somebody's first attempt at doing a score, and considering the rest of the film feels like a first attempt at everything, I would imagine that the person doing the score has either done one or none before in their lifetime. So I wish I could talk about things like cinematography and film editing and you know and all the cuts and the wipes and the shots and but I'm sure that they're all shitty, because there's not a single thing about this film that made me think anybody put an ounce of effort into this film. I think they rushed it out. The film starts in the weirdest way, the most abrupt way, where they're just like, they just start talking and then people just start dying. And I'm like, are we going to lead in and explain this? Or do you just hope everybody understands what a Children of the Corn movie is? Because if you're trying to reboot the franchise, there have been much more creative reboots in current memory. This is definitely not the way I would have gone. I think we should lock this franchise away, and until you can present your film resume, you don't get to make a Children of the Corn movie, because what we don't need are a second set of shitty straight-to-video Children of the Corn sequels. We do not need Shudder to be like, you know what we're gonna do? Children of the Corn 2. It's like, no, God, please. We don't need to just go through the straight-to-video sequels again. No, we don't. No, we don't. No one needs that. So, I would love to be able to grade this film, but I'm here because I talk about audio description, and this film has none because AMC Plus lied to me. They have absolutely, clearly no intention of expanding upon. I've watched so many things on AMC Plus that are just like, I would have obviously, I mean, this is a big new show for them, it doesn't have audio description. This is a big movie for them, it doesn't have audio description. You know, I mean, you can just go through and be like, yep, no, they're not making any effort here on audio description. So, but I'm going to keep reviewing them, and I'm going to keep holding them to the flame, because they told me audio description was a growing priority for them. Cool. Show it to me then. Unfortunately, as much as I'd love to give this film a hilariously low grade, it is technically unwatchable. Technically, the whole purpose of this film, being in the horror genre, is for you to be able to understand everything from who gets killed, how they get killed, to be able to know if somebody's lurking behind them, when the monster comes out, to be able to know what the monster looks like. We're an entire genre of film that when you don't describe it, it makes it, the purpose of the film is lost. So then it just relies heavily on acting, plot, and dialogue, which most horror movies have a really hard time standing on. Good horror movies can actually do that. Jordan Peele's Get Out actually has acting, plot, and dialogue. Just stuff that you can actually grasp onto. However, this does not, which makes it unwatchable. So, And not for the reasons that you think that I was saying throughout the review. Um, Although I still would recommend this film. I think my letter grade for this, even with audio description, would be really low. I can't imagine the audio description is going to be game changing for me with this, but it does need it. And I'm not going to step around it and just give this film a grade simply because it was the experience that I had was hilariously awful. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I have a website, MacTheMovieGuy.com. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at MacTheMovieGuy. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what has audio description and where you can watch it. And you can go to the adna.org. That's the adna.org. It'll let you know who's narrating films and television series. It's like IMDb, but for blind people. Anyway, that's it. That's what I got. We did it. We made another Children of the Corn movie. We can check that one off our bucket list. I fully predict this is going to be a Razzie nominee. If it's not a Razzie nominee, the Razzies are broken. I cannot. It did get a theatrical release. It is totally eligible. And if the Razzies don't nominate this, I would be shocked. This is totally up their alley. So, anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I will review something else for you tomorrow. And until then, I will see you guys on the other side.